promotion and IT planning at Japan Airlines, and Adam Fish, who is the CEO and founder at Ditto. This is another kind of joint presentation in which we have our speaker up on Zoom, and I think they're live already, so that's fantastic. So Adam is going to talk to us a little bit more about Ditto's solution on crew communication innovation and some other COVID-19 measures that Japan Airlines have worked on together. So Adam, over to you.
Yeah, thank you. Well, incredibly excited to be here. We were at FTE 2 years ago, and so it's great to be back and have this incredible opportunity to speak alongside Japan Airlines. So as mentioned, my name is Adam Fish. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Ditto. Ditto is a technology company based in Silicon Valley, and we build technology that enables devices to send and transmit data from one device directly to another device. And so this is kind of generic technology that could be used for lots of different things, but particularly it has a huge demand in the aviation space because it allows apps to communicate even when there is an internet connection. And so over the last several months, we've had the incredible opportunity to work side of Japan Airlines on a project to improve crew communication. And so I want to pass it over to Disney now to talk about that.
Thank you, Adam. Hi, everyone. Good morning. From Japan, nice to meet you all here. My name is Disney. I'm in the IT planning department of Japan Airlines in charge of system planning and development of our operating system. Excuse me that I cannot show up in person in Las Vegas this time. I hope all of you are having a good time there. So before I go to the topic of innovation on crew communication and other anti-COVID measures, please let me share some basic information about our company, although most of you may be very familiar with Japan Airlines. Okay, Japan Airlines, or JAL Group, is one of the leading airline groups in Japan. We are founded in 1951, focusing on aviation business, on international routes and domestic routes in Japan. We are a member of the One World Alliance. At the end of our last fiscal year, we were operating 218 aircrafts, covering over 400 airports in 66 countries and regions. There are around 36,000 employees working with me in the JAL Group. We have just been awarded again by APEX as a 5-star airline. Japan Airlines is the only award 5-star airline in Eastern Asia region. In addition, we also got the 5-star COVID-19 safety rating by Skytrax. To talk about our in-flight services, aiming to provide the best service to our passengers, we are putting efforts to elevate our service, especially on efforts to strive against COVID-19. There are a few objectives. First and most importantly, the safety and comfortability of our passengers. Second, the personalized service for our passengers. And the third one will be the sustainable development goals to contribute to our environment, our society, and so on. To achieve these objectives, there are several measures that we are taking. Firstly, the contactless in-flight service with hygiene considerations, with the emphasis on flying safe with Japan Airlines. Our cabin attendants are wearing protective glasses, hand gloves, or even full sets of protective clothes during service and cleaning duties. And we are accumulating the data gathered from cabin service, such as the service timing, preference of passengers, and so on. We are going to utilize the data for more insights of how to improve the service in the cabin. And same as what we are sharing here, we are continuously encouraging innovative ideas and the use of new technologies into our in-flight services. Next, we are promoting digital transformation, integrating human resources and technology to maximize both customer experience and employee experience. For customer experience, we are improving multiple touch points around customers. For example, through personalized concierge, we are providing service based on the individual needs and situations. The expansion of mobile applications enable customers for self-service at the airport and also in-flight. Regarding employee experience from the right-hand side here, we are utilizing the AI and RPA so that the human resources can be relocated and focused on high value-added operations. By integrating operating data, we are strengthening the safety level, combining with new technologies. Of course, IT platform at the below serves as a backbone, supporting the business strategies and value maximization in CX and EX. So what is the current situation of Japan Airlines right now? Most of our aircrafts are providing in-flight Wi-Fi services to our passengers. However, that is yet no access point for our cabin attendants. Currently, they are providing services in an offline environment when they need to communicate with each other. The most effective way so far is by the interphone near the jump seats. However, interphones can only convey simple verbal messages, and the interphones are not always reachable during their service time. In order to pursue to a new level of service quality, we are looking for ways to achieve seamless communication between our cabin attendants. For more than the 6,000 cabin attendants in JAL, each of them have an iPad mini on board. With all the available resources, we are promoting digital mobilization so that the staff and the crew members can work anywhere at the airport, in the cabin, and even at home. These are all very good reasons why we are going into the partnership with Ditto here. Together with Ditto, we have conducted our pilot program of a peer-to-peer communications between the devices in the cabin. This is to find a new way of effective communication between the crew members and to look for new opportunities to enhance our service level by redesigning the cabin work process. To do the pilot, we have installed a customized application on the iPads and evaluate the effectiveness and efficiency of the meal preparation process of our long-haul business class. So what are the results of the program? In total, 12 long-haul route flights were examined, including routes between America, Europe, and Southeast Asia. More than 60 crew members participated in this program. As a conclusion, the result is affirmative. Each of the involved cabin crew members have to answer a questionnaire. As you can see here, 81% of them think that it is effective to adopt Ditto's technology, which can help them to improve the service efficiency and quality. On the contrary, 14% of them think that it is rather ineffective. Why? The major reason is that among the numerous in-flight service flows, there may be a long time is required to carry out the digital transformation to completely replace the current paperwork. Besides, our cabin attendants are wearing disposable hand gloves during the meal service. It is difficult to operate the iPad with hand gloves, and we are finding ways to solve the issue. Referring to the chart on the right-hand side here, the crew members also answer on what kind of possible areas that they think that the technology is most effective. More than half of them think that the communications between crew members will be improved. For example, the information sharing between forward and backward galley. 25% of them think that the service process could be modified and improved. The rest of them are considering other good ideas such as ground crew communication, safety, and sales area. So what are the next steps? The pilot program was carried out during the COVID-19 period. Our flights were not full at that time with less than half of the passenger loading on board. When the situation improves and when the loading resumes normal, we are considering to carry out some more examinations to see the full potential of applying Ditto's technology into our services. And not only iPad, we are looking into other areas and other devices such as the iWatch or other wearable devices. Okay, by this pilot program, it is the first time that we are able to systematically collect surface data in the offline cabin environment. This is surely useful to help our data analysis and surface redesign in the future, focusing on the maximization of a customer and employee experience, not only in-flight services. We are progressively looking forward into other areas such as passenger contact points, ground operations, maintenance, where digital technology can be utilized. Okay, this is all that I want to share. Adam, would you please continue on how Ditto works?
Yeah, so thank you for that, Disney. And now what I want to do is talk a little bit about how does Ditto actually work, because you were seeing a lot of the operational effects at the airline level. But now I want to talk about what does the technology actually do. And so Japan Airlines, the app that they were using was an application that Ditto developed to show off our technology. The application is called Sky Service. And so it is a combination of a crew application and a passenger app. There is an iOS and an Android one. And the idea behind this is that it is a full suite to enable the crew to handle meal processing and communication, in addition to the passenger being able to order meals directly from their seats. All of this works on top of Ditto's technology that enables these devices to communicate irrelevant of any hardware on the plane. And that works through the capabilities of the devices themselves. And so when a passenger orders a meal from their own personal device, that can be synced over to the crew devices in real time without any need for the Wi-Fi system on board or internet connectivity on the ground. So here are a couple more images of the app in use. And as you can see on the right-hand side, you've got the flight attendants there prepping the meals. The application itself has a ton of different functionality to enable them to track inventory information. So when there is food that runs out, that instantly gets updated to other crew devices so they can see that. In addition, passengers would lose those items from their device to be able to order. And all of this provides seamless communication, so there's easy operational benefits, so crew are not running around when things are out of stock and they don't realize it. So that's at the application level, but I want to now talk about how this really works at the lower level in terms of the technology. To explain this, I want to step back and explain why did we build Ditto itself. My background is in software development, and previous to this, I had worked at another company that was developing data infrastructure software for mobile applications. And that type of system that we developed there is what I call a traditional system, because most applications that you develop today require access to the internet. There is a central server, this could be in the cloud or in a data center, that devices connect to and they share data and then it goes to other devices. The problem though is there's so many places where that could fail. You could have outages where the data center goes out. Just this past week, one of Amazon's largest data centers went out, causing massive disruption. So this is still a common occurrence even in the world of cloud systems. There's also giant challenges in the aviation industry in terms of reception. Planes have mixed access to satellite or ground communication, and then even on the ground, cellular networks are difficult, and apps can crash and devices can run out of battery. So we wanted to build a new type of technology that basically alleviates all of those problems. So to do that, we developed a system to enable devices to connect directly to each other. So let me show you how that works. So first, all you have to do is you take Ditto and you embed it into an application. We support lots of different types of applications. For example, iOS applications for iPads or iPhones, or Android applications. And the versions of Ditto all have support for those specific languages that developers use to build those applications. So you take the version that you need and you embed that into your application. Next, once Ditto is embedded in the application, it takes advantage of the technology in the device that it's running in. For mobile devices, there's Bluetooth and Wi-Fi radios. And those radios can actually enable devices to connect to each other directly. And so Ditto's technology within your app starts to control those radios automatically. The app doesn't have to worry about this because, unfortunately, those technologies are really difficult to use. And so with that, devices will automatically connect to each other, and then your app can put data into Ditto, and it will transmit it to those other devices. What's really great about this, though, is that it's not just one device to another device, but actually a large mesh of devices that can form. And so we call this multi-hopping of data. So as you can see here, there's 4 devices in the plane from the front to the back. In this imagined scenario here, the device in the front can't actually connect all the way to the back, for example, but they could connect to the devices in the middle, forming a complete mesh. So whenever data changes on one device, all the other devices will get this. And this is something that we've tested even on the largest aircraft, including the A380, where crew were using up to 20 devices across both floors and having seamless communication. This will even work through cockpit doors to enable pilots and crew to communicate, or from inside the plane to outside the plane. So as you could hear from Disney, we work together on modernizing their crew communication. And this is really exciting because this means airlines can turn what was a hardware problem before into a software solution, where Ditto can be embedded into applications that can improve digital communication in the plane without having to do any heavy retrofitting of their planes. There are also other use cases. As I mentioned at the beginning, Ditto, ultimately, we're a technology company. This technology could be used in aviation, in a variety of use cases, and even in other verticals. So here are a couple other use cases that we see in aviation. For example, pilots use electronic flight bag software to control their routes, to track regulatory information. With multiple pilots, with Ditto embedded, data on one pilot's iPad can sync to another pilot's iPad, so they can reduce time filling out forms and ensure that they have up-to-date information. Next, even on the ground, because connectivity can be a giant problem, we've developed an app called Pluto that's an example of showing how you can do maintenance work using Ditto's technology to enable maintenance workers in and around the plane to be able to work on tasks, complete them, and have a global view of that as all their devices stay in sync. And lastly, the other example I want to put is baggage handling. This is particularly challenging because workers are in the hull of the plane loading bags onto the plane while others are standing outside. But key to this is that you need to check if the bag is on the correct flight before you load it. And this requires connecting to the internet to verify that that bag is the correct bag. Well, in a lot of situations, and even in the JFK airport where we've tested this, the baggage handler in the plane might not have internet reception, but someone outside of the plane might have that just a few feet away. Using Ditto's technology, the device that does the scan in the plane can transmit the request to verify the bag to the device that's outside, and then it can go up to the internet, verify it, and come back down, providing seamless communication even in that disruptive environment. So we are incredibly excited to have worked with Japan Airlines. We've had a long partnership throughout the pandemic with them, and we see, through all these use cases, incredible opportunity to expand from just this pilot with the crew communication into other applications. So with that, I'll take some questions.
Thank you so much, Adam. If you want to just join me here. It's fantastic. Again, I'm so pleased that we can get JAL, Disney logo from JAL on the screen as well. That was a really fascinating presentation, and I really found the wireless piece of your product just a really amazing solution. So yeah, you mentioned a few, obviously a few crew-based kind of implementations for the solution with Japan Airlines. But do you have any plans to do this more as a passenger-facing application as well?
Yeah. So the focus on this pilot was just on the crew side of things. But as I mentioned, the Sky Service application has a version for passengers that they can use as well. But this was an app that Ditto developed. And so in a lot of cases for passenger experiences, the right implementation would involve embedding Ditto's technology into the actual passenger app of the airline. So you would have a fully branded experience. And so, yeah, we would look forward to working with Japan Airlines on that. So I don't know if Disney, if you wanted to add any additional thoughts in terms of other opportunities that you see.
Yes, that is a great idea to involve the passengers to use Ditto's technology to communicate directly with the crew members on board. This will surely reduce the the interaction chances between crew members and the passenger. If they have the application on board, they can self-order the in-flight meals, and the crew can just prepare that inside the galley. And this is a great idea, and we are involving our surface process. First step, we are going to link up all the crew members first, and then the next step, maybe we are going to involve the passenger. Right here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's fantastic to hear that they're looking to implement this across the board. So do we have any questions from the audience? I think we've got one over there, if you just wait for the microphone.
Hello, Rick Belliati from San Diego International Airport. So just a quick plug, if JAL wants to test anything on the ground in San Diego, we'd be happy to work with you. Second is for Ditto. We played around with some RF frequency things that were using Bluetooth and low-powered batteries and those types of things, and came across some challenges with getting those certified through the FAA to be in flight. Did you come across any similar challenges with federal regulators in the countries you were working with, and how might you have overcome those?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'll just repeat it so Disney can hear. So the question was about any sort of regulatory challenges associated with the wireless communication of the devices. And so to answer that, there has not been any issue with that, because at the end of the day, we're just using existing devices that are being brought on board anyway. These could be the passenger phones that they have with themselves, or crew mobile devices. And so given that the mobile devices themselves have already been approved, then we're kind of piggybacking off of that. That would be a little bit different if Ditto was embedded into any of the avionics systems in the plane. At that point, because they're being powered by the plane, the regulatory process is very different. But in this situation, these are just mobile devices.
That's great. Thank you. Any other questions from the audience? I think we've got another one over here.
Oh, thank you. I was just wondering, what is the range that they can sync? And then if you were to be able to embed it in a non-mobile device, right, regulatory aside, would it be able to use a standard like Bluetooth beacon?
Yeah, it's a great question. So again, to repeat the question was around range and being able to work in other types of devices beyond mobile. And so for mobile devices, there are two types of technologies that Ditto takes advantage of. One is peer-to-peer Wi-Fi. So if you've ever used on iPhones, for example, AirDrop, that's what's happening if you're trying to send a file to someone else. Your device actually creates a Wi-Fi connection from your device to the others really quickly. That functionality is really powerful for sending large files, and it works up to about 25 meters in range. In addition to that, there are Bluetooth radios on devices. And so Bluetooth doesn't have the same sort of bandwidth capabilities. It's more for small images or text information, such as the crew communication that JAL was using. But the benefit of Bluetooth, it has incredible range. And so it goes up to 150 meters. And so this is, I find, very surprising to a lot of people, because most people personally have experienced Bluetooth with using headphones, which are typically very frustrating to use. But when we talk about Bluetooth, what we're using in this application is Bluetooth Low Energy, which is a different type of technology than the Bluetooth for your headsets. And it has really come a long way in the last 3 or 4 years with the recent standards. And so that's enabling this very great range where devices in the front of the plane can connect all the way to the back of the plane. And so my point in the slides about the A380 and having devices fully connected, that's leveraging both the Bluetooth capabilities and peer-to-peer Wi-Fi. When devices get close enough, Ditto will use the Wi-Fi when it can, and then when they're farther away, it'll continue to use Bluetooth. All of that happens seamlessly. The app developer, the application itself doesn't have to manage that, and that's really the benefit of Ditto's technology. But in terms of other devices, the point I would make is Ditto works in other systems, Windows, Linux systems, and so it could be embedded into avionics systems and other things in the plane. The key point there is Ditto will take advantage of whatever network systems of the device it's running on. And so we actually work with the US Air Force as well, which has a lot of different RF networking systems that they might be using in their aircraft. And Ditto can transmit data over those links in addition to Wi-Fi and Bluetooth that you would find in a traditional mobile device.
Very interesting. I think we've got another question just right over there.
Hi, I'm Sham Khan. I'm from T-Mobile IoT, so we are your competitors in a way. So we currently empower EFB and flight attendants connectivity for airlines, right? And we know the amount of data that these devices consume, they go on a higher side. So my first question is that what is the maximum data payload that your app can sustain? And my second question is how secure is that device, is that application, and what sort of encryption is in place to make sure that the privacy and the data issues are considered while utilizing these applications?
Yeah, well, those are great questions. The first point I would say is, at the end of the day, we see Ditto as a complement to cellular networks and other communication. So I wouldn't say entirely as a competitor. Ditto's technology can be a great fallback for applications when they're going in and out of internet connectivity. But in terms of data usage, at the end of the day, that's just guided by how much storage is available on the device. Ditto is actually a database, and so you put data into it, and so its limit is just the storage on the device itself. But I'm glad you mentioned security, since that was not something I brought up in the slides, but any connection that Ditto makes with other devices is fully encrypted using the latest encryption techniques for web standards. And so even if that's a Bluetooth connection or a Wi-Fi connection, all of that is going to be fully encrypted. And there are APIs to allow the application to control which data can be transmitted to which device. So, for example, senior flight attendants could have access to all the data, but a junior flight attendant might have limited access, things like that.
Mm-hmm. I think we've got time for one more question, if there's any. Sorry, were you? Oh, just over there, Ali. I think that there's so many different user cases that it's sparkling.
So thanks. So David Ludwig from Tata Communications. I'd actually agree with you that I see Ditto's technology very much as a complement to cellular. The question I had was this on the idea of embedding the app or embedding Ditto into the app. And forgive me if this is a stupid question, but how much heavy lifting does that actually require? So if an airline came to you tomorrow and said, look, I've got an app similar to what JAL has, and wanted to roll that out, but it's an existing app that they already use, what do you need to do to actually implement that?
Yeah, there definitely is integration involved. And so Ditto is a software product, so the end user of it would be other software developers that are maintaining the app. So we provide a software development kit, and you would embed that into the software code of the app. And so the integration complexity really depends on the type of app. What we like to do with airlines and other customers that we work with is focus on like a single feature. And then once they figured out the pattern of how to sync a single bit of data, so for example, this could be like a inventory value for one type of drink or food, just a very simple example of how to show off the syncing capabilities. And once they've proven that, that can typically happen in an afternoon. Like I've sat down with a developer from a company, and in a couple hours we've been able to prove out a single thing like that. After that point, it gets a lot easier, and then it can spread to all the functionality of the app. But at the end of the day, it really depends on the complexity. So it could be a matter of days, a couple weeks involved in the integration.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Adam. There's I know a lot of questions, but rest assured, Ditto have a stand here on the expo floor, so you can always pop by and meet the rest of the team and just find out a lot more about the solution. So thank you so much, Adam, for joining us.
Yeah,
it's been great having you here, and it's also thank you, Disney, for joining us. I don't know if you can hear us, but you can repeat and just say that to him.
Yeah, thank you.
Very pleased to have him as well. So let's give another round of applause. Thank you so much.